Hello, I'd like to talk today about the complexity of the visibility and the invisibility of affects. Because when we are studying affects, one of the problems is to see and to understand what affect we are really having, we are really feeling. It's very clear to see which drive are awakening in us. If we are hungry, if we are thirsty, if we are attracted by someone else physically, that is very clear, I beg your pardon, but it's much more difficult to guess what we are really feeling inside. I mean, we have 9 types of innate affects. Interest and joy are the positive ones, and we are used to show interest, not so used to show joy, because if we are too much enthusiastic, they say, hey, calm down, and or we laugh too loud, or there is average that is correct about joy, showing joy. We can show surprise. And the surprise startle can be sometimes very unpleasant, because when we have a bad news in the middle of the day, it can affect us in very different ways. We have anger, fear, distress, disgust, contempt, and shame. And those affects, they are innate. We all have them, according to SILVAN. And I'm gonna rely on SILVAN-Study and in his book Affect, Imagery and Consciousness, published by Springer, the volume 1 and 2, and specifically the chapter about the visibility and the invisibility of affect, and also the chapter about the face. Because, well, he has a huge metaphor to explain how difficult affects are to be seen. And he says they are phenomenologically so soluble in every kind of psychic solution, we must expect that the distillation of purified components will be rarely achieved by the individual who experiences the totality and pose formidable problems for the psychological anatomist who would dissect and separate the components. So it's very hard to see when we have distress, anger, fear, what it's really the important affect there. If it is fear, if it is anger, if it is distress. Everything comes in a block, you know. Not only there is an ambiguity of place due to a variety of combinations of effects and other types of experiences, but in addition, the intimate relation between the site of the drive signal and the site of the consummatory response is peculiar to the drive system. A positive effect characteristically is self-rewarding, and a negative effect is characteristically self-punishing. So we are used to express the positive effects, of course, effects of interest, effects of joy, eventually effects of surprise, but usually we hide the self-punishing effects. We learn to do that. In fact, the variance of affective expression is a consequence of learning, and that's a key in our study, because education has a great deal to do with the fact of masking our affects. Let's speak about violence. And a little baby, when he cries of distress, of anger generally is because he feels aggressive. Our studies in Sciences de l'Éducation in Lyon 2, when I was a student in my Master of Education, before doing a PhD in education, showed me that the kids, they are not aggressive. They are aggressive as a response to aggression. Naturally, a kid wants to communicate, wants to learn. We are born to learn. And we are very interdependent. And the baby is totally dependent of the mother, of the father, of the interaction with everybody. So when a kid is violent, it's because he gets habituated to this violence. It's not a natural behavior, not a spontaneous behavior. We can get, for instance, habituated to a gunshot. The first gunshot, oh my God, what's happening? And then we listen to another one and think of the kids who are in the war situation. They get habituated to this violence. They don't know anything else. That doesn't mean that they are not afraid, distressed, and have a lot of troubles. But somehow we can get habituated to violence, or we can get habituated to obey orders we don't agree with, and because we are afraid of the consequence of disobeying. That's very frequent in the classroom when we don't like the teacher, but we obey the teacher. We do what he wants us to do because we want to survive in the classroom. So we learn to not show up and to swallow our anger, our dismay, our disgust, and to have an interested face. The other thing is miniaturization. Anger may be miniaturized in a small contraction of the jaw muscles, like this. And I can say, no, fine, I agree with you, and I'm so angry inside, but I don't show that I'm angry, and then I'm not even conscious that I'm angry. But I simply contract my jaw muscles. So someone else can see, she looks angry to me. So because the face is very vulnerable, and we show much more in our face that we would like to. So there is also the defensive aggression. The original response is suppressed and replaced by a substitute. So I don't even feel the smell. I don't even feel disgust. I don't even feel anger. I don't feel sad. I say, no, I'm all right. How are you doing with the situation at home? You have someone who is sick at home. Oh, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. We're very happy together. There is no problem at all. That's just normal. Everybody gets sick, and in fact we are sad, but we don't show and we don't even feel that we are sad. We replace that by contentment. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm really fine. So I'm doing well. There is another way of transforming our affects, and in fact very, very common, and I know a great deal about that. It's to delay, to avoid and to delay. And it's when you don't show up. Well, you can quit a job, you can quit a couple, you can divorce, you can leave someone, but instead of leaving the conflict, telling clearly why you disagree and how, and confronting the person with your opinions that are not his or her opinion, and trying to find an understanding and not running away from violence, but transforming violence, according to Charles Tolman's expression, in a constructive conflict. Instead of doing that, we avoid. And we frequently avoid, because it's very hard to say no to someone, to say I don't agree with you, to put on limits, to say stop now, you're being invasive, you're being incorrect, you're going too far. And that's my red line here. We are not used to do that, and we often avoid. So it's difficult. It's because there is a kind of taboo of looking at the face. We don't stare at someone. Only when we are a kid. And kids, they know a lot about us because they stare at us and they say, she's angry. And maybe we do a very interesting speech, moral speech, but in fact we are distressed and we are angry, and the kids can guess it. The face is vulnerable and exposed, and the face of fathers in socialization is very important. There is several facial styles. And those facial styles tell us the story of the facial socialization. The facial styles, according to Tomkins, may represent the enduring effect which is a consequence of either past goal attainment or deprivation. If I frequently attain my goal, I'm interested and you're interested in me, that's I am smiling and you smile at me, and so I tend to be an empathic person that are always smiling and saying, hello, how are you, and how glad to see you. And so I'm just empathic because I succeed to please when I was a child, and I attained my goals of interesting my parents, of interesting my friends, of being part of a group. But when I suffered from deprivation, when I was a kid, for instance, who wanted to smile and have a closed face, an anger face, or not empathy at all in the environment, that had a violent environment, then I can have a sad face, because very often, well, it was hard to attain my goals, and it was hard to achieve the interest, and it was hard to share joy. No joy was shared when I appeared. No interest was shown when I was there. So I can have a kind of sad face. So a face may be permanently sad or distressed because of continuing deprivation of a wish for the communal excitement interaction. So it is very important, just to end up this quick chapter about the visibility and the invisibility of affect, to show empathy to the kids, to show them that we are interested on them, to show them that they are important to us, and to show that we care, and to show that we feel joy when they are present, because that will define not only the facial style, that will define the way they deal with their affects in the future. Are they able to recognize the effects they have and to deal with them? Thank you very much for your attention, and see you very soon in the next video.